Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Belmont Park and sunny skies on this Halloween 2021. Temperatures today will be around 60 degrees. The main track is sloppy, and we are off the turf today. No carryover in the pick six. And here now the changes. In the first race, scratch number 1, I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost. Scratch number 1, and note that number 5, Alpine Queen, the ownership should read 10 Strike Racing and Corey Molis Racing. Second race is off the turf. And we have these scratches. Scratch 1, Sky Kitten. 4, Lady Fatima. Scratch 7, Kitten's Romance. 8, Sassy Melissa. And 10, Kissing Frogs. Scratch 1, 4, 7, 8, and 10. And there's a rider change on the 6, Magnetique, to Eric Consell. Consell rides the 6. Third race, scratch number 3, Stimulus Check. In the third, scratch number 3. Race 4 will kick off the pick 6. No changes there. Race 5 is off the turf. And we have these scratches. Scratch 2, Seizing the Dream. 3, Ocean Deep. Scratch 4, Warlight. 6, Can You Hear Me Now? 8, Romantic Man. Scratch 9, High Def. And 10, Bailout. In race 5, scratch numbers 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Number 14, Cash Kid, will be ridden by Jose Lescano. Lescano rides the 14, Cash Kid. The sixth race is the first division of the Pumpkin Pie Stakes, and no changes. Seventh race is the Grade 3 Bold Ruler Handicap. Scratch number 2, Bal Harbor. Seventh race, scratch the 2. Race 8 is the second division of the Pumpkin Pie Stakes. Scratch number 3, Piedi Bianchi. And this scratch just in, also scratch number 6, Don't Call Me Mary. Eighth race, scratch numbers 3 and 6. And in the ninth race, scratch number 8, Kong Loves a Fight. Ninth race, scratch the 8. Main track is sloppy and sealed, and we are off the turf. We'll come back at 12:05 to recap the changes. First race post is at 12:35. Up next, the trick-or-treat edition of Talking Horses with Maggie Wolfendale Morley and Anthony Stubbe.
happy Halloween and welcome to Talking Horses. I'm Maggie Wolfno alongside Anthony Stabile, and also happy Pumpkin Pie Day as I brought 2 servings because we have 2 editions of the pumpkin pie, and I have learned that I am the only one who likes pumpkin pie that I work with. So whoever wants to come steal Anthony's piece, feel free.
And ordinarily, trying to take a piece of pie out of my hands would be like you bringing a knife to a gunfight, but with the 80 pounds gone, let me just pat myself on the back there.
Well
and
done.
the fact that, thank you. And it is pumpkin. I do not eat pumpkin pie. I do not drink pumpkin spice. Luckily, I do not wear yoga pants. I have nothing to do with the fall fashion. I have nothing to do with the fall.
No Uggs?
No Uggs. I do not have any Uggs. I wear good old fashioned Skechers, and listen, this is what we do.
You're such a 90s kid.
It's
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I'll eat his
this
other
is what
piece.
I do.
Anyway, 'cause-
I make my own beef jerky and go on riverboat gambling trips. This is what I do.
and you make good risotto as well.
I do make good. I make great risotto.
Yeah. Enough culinary talk as we are off the turf today. We are on the main track, which is listed as sloppy. Once again, some overnight rains, but boy, do we have a gorgeous Halloween Sunday to have some live
Happy
racing
for the
action.
kids to be able to go out and do some trick-or-treating today.
Yes.
It was good. But after the last 18 months, I think they deserve, because last year it rained or snowed, right?
No, it was just COVID, and a lot of people were like, no.
But it was like
my
it
neighborhood
rained too.
actually
It
was
was
good.
I thought it was
It
cold
was cold.
last year.
It was colder.
So the kids have a nice day to go
yeah.
trick-or-treating. I don't have any candy to give anybody this year because I eat it all. So.
Oh, Scrooge. Anyway, we jump into the action race number 1, and
Wait, hold on. They got to know where to go bet first, Maggie.
Oh yeah, that's right. See,
It's
where
okay.
would I be
You're
without
excited.
you?
Well, you're going.
You have
The
to
line
use.
and the answer to that question is long and luxurious, milady.
God.
I don't know where you would all be without me, to be honest with you.
I know. I've got you all day. But
You do.
anyway, if you want to play today's races, make sure you do so with the Naira Bets account. We are offering that $25 free play on the Breeders' Cup. Use Cup 25. And as always, you get the $200 deposit match bonus. Check out NairaBets.com. Also, on the wagering menu, we have that 50-50 bonus today. Belmont, Woodbine, and Gulfstream. Bet 50 on each track and earn the $50 bonus. Win or lose, make sure you
Opt in. Got to opt into
Boom.
everything.
That's for sure when you check out NairaBets.com. A little bit of a split schedule on America's Day at the races. You can catch the early action on FS1 as it is also opening day at Churchill Downs for their kind of late fall meet. And we're on there till 4, and then make sure you switch over to FS2 where you can always watch on NairaBets.com or the YouTube channel. We'll have you and I on the desk
Yeah.
later on that FS2 show.
Stars of Tomorrow card, one of the first of 2. Stars of Tomorrow card, opening day, I believe closing day as well. They do the same thing over at that fall meet. Rags to Riches. We'll cover the street sense later on the card, and looking forward to having some fun later on FS2. Took a little Breeders' Cup as well.
Yeah, like Red Knobs a little bit in that race.
Okay.
Tell Roman's horse. All right.
You'll have to tune in. By the way, Acacia pointed out that yesterday she called me autumnal, so I guess I'm not completely void of fall in my
Yeah,
life.
I don't know where she got that. What
I had an orangey sweater on
oh yeah,
yesterday.
she's orange today, so she's very much in line with the Halloween theme.
This is what the A train does. We kind of follow
Yeah.
each other along.
Yeah, it's good. It
takes
what
a lot
you're
of
supposed to do as a train. Well, and possibly the biggest hunch bet of the day is our biggest defection as well. Is on even money on the on the morning line. Not evening line. Is I Ain't Afraid of No
There should
Ghosts.
be an evening line.
Yeah, that'd be fun. She is out today, Jeremiah Engelhart. I mean, not only did she just lay over this field, Anthony, it was the first time she was showing up for a tag,
Yeah.
but she was also the pace, and now the pace looks to be provided by the outside runner in number 6, Matula.
Yeah, Matula made her first start off a little bit of a break for trainer Pat Reynolds last time out and got the job done. And for a filly who had sprinted a couple of times and showed no speed at all. The stretch out to the mile, Manny Franco climbed aboard, and she took him flag fall to that's all. Like you said, Maggie, with I Ain't Afraid No Ghost coming out of here from the inside draw, you would imagine Matula is once again going to use that weapon. I would not be surprised if Targeted Return is ridden a little bit more aggressively in here. Her lone win came when she was in for the 50, going the one-turn mile down at Churchill Downs last fall, and Javier Castellano's been riding really well. I think he needs to sense that A, this filly's best race was when they were aggressive with her, and B, yes, Matula went wire to wire last time, but in all honesty, his filly's probably a little faster, has a little more natural speed, I would think, and personally, I would try and take advantage of that.
Well, we flip-flopped in here. I just thought, yes, that was her fastest race to date, but oftentimes we do see early speed at Churchill, just the biggest weapon you could possibly have. And she just has not shown it that much since coming back. And she just almost seems like more of a plotter now as a 3-year-old. So, I mean, I suppose there's some upside with her. But Matula, she's a 3-year-old too. And I just think, maybe she did catch a advantageous field last time where Strong Point didn't break that day too. But I wanted the horse who at least has shown recent speed.
That's fair enough.
And from that outside post position, Manny can kind of play the break a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I thought Seahorse Duro getting back out to a route distance was a little bit interesting. You have a number 5 Alpine Queen in there as well.
Yeah, I think we both picked Diana Afraid No Ghost originally, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, fourth pick moves up to third.
Right.
Kind of filling it out at this point. Yeah, targeted return of Matula. I think one of these two fillies has to get the job done in the opener.
Absolutely. Race number 2, it is off the turf. So we're on the main track going the 7/8 in here. And a horse that and we're both really intrigued by is number 6. That's Magnetique. It seemed like last time Michelle Nevin and Javier Castellano it just seemed as though she just kind of needed the start. Set a fairly quick pace and then faded. And honestly, some of her better races have obviously come on the main track.
Right. So she comes off the 5-month break last time. She draws inside. She has a pair of blinkers for the first time. All of those signs kind of pointed to the fact that she was going to be a little aggressive early. And she was. She went faster than she had ever went before, 46 and some change on the front end. And she called it a day pretty early.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I actually liked her last time. In hindsight, she did the race.
Yeah. And how many times do I've seen Michelle Nevin do this a lot of times with horses.
Give the horse a race, a turf tightener off the break,
exactly.
and then go right back. Now, this horse was intended to run on turf today.
True.
Because this is a horse who, I think you and I both agree, if we had to classify her, she is a dirt horse, but she's not MTO. She was going to run on the turf. She was intended to run on the turf today.
But Michelle also had to look at the weather forecast.
Of course. And it's nice to have that versatility if you want to run on turf and know that your 2 career wins so far have come on a fast track and on a track with some moisture in it that you can, you have a huge advantage when you enter a race like this with the weather forecast. So she gets the race off the turf. My biggest problem with her is I don't think she ran off last time, but she was aggressive last time. And I'm hoping it was more the break she had, the layoff she had, as opposed to those blinkers. Because she seemed really, really sharp last time. I was just hoping it was a confluence of things, and that today, with the race under her belt, getting back to the main track, she settles a little bit better.
And it wasn't like she had a big pair of blinkers on. She just had a small cheater cup on. But
Okay.
she'd really done well in the interim physically. So she'd really fillen out and grown and just looked stronger, but obviously just wasn't quite fit enough. I land on Magnetique, but the horse standing in her way is number 11, Big Al's Gal, entered for the main track. First off the trainer change to Rob Atras, or claim I should say. She finished behind Spun d'Etat, who off of a quick turnaround came back and won, posting an 88 buyer. We'll check out their last race together, in which Spun d'Etat just set the early pace and ran away from that field. I guess we're not going to. Oh, there we go. So, look, Big Al's Gal kind of set wide, chasing the whole way behind a better horse. She easily disposed, I shouldn't say easily disposed of, she only beat Shaker Shack by a neck, who did not come back to run that well yesterday or the day before.
Yeah. But again, I didn't mean to step on you, Jose, but a lot of these fillies are coming back, and we're seeing this a lot lately. They're coming back rather quickly, right?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned Spun d'Etat, that was 11 days. These
Yep.
fillies are coming back in 15 days.
Yeah.
So you see in this turnaround, and it makes a little bit more sense with a horse like Big Al's Gal, because when you claim a filly like her they claim her for the 20, I think you're pointing, for the lack of a better term, towards these off the turf races.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Now,
Taking advantage.
unfortunately for her, she runs into Magnetique today.
Yeah.
But if you take Magnetique out of this race, she's going to be she would have been a very short price today, and that's how you play the claiming game. You take this filly for the 20, you put her off the turf, and you try to run on the raise. I think a lot of people now play the claiming game the other way. You want to try and run on the raise, and I think that in theory what they tried to pull here with Big Al's Gal made sense, but they run into horse like Magnetique.
Are we at all scared of the outside horse, number 13, Casilda 40 Tails? We'll go first off the claim for Juan Vasquez because she looks as though she's the speed of the speed.
She is faster than any of the other fillies who have any kind of speed in here. I think you have to respect her a little bit. Now, they're taking her off Orlando Nota, so we don't know what exactly we're going to get. And for a barn that was having trouble win races in New York, Juan Vasquez has started to win them.
And especially with his first off the claim
yes.
horses, they're not always winning, but they are running well.
They're all running well, and
Yeah.
he is running horses on the raise and improving horses off some barns that you wouldn't expect him
it.
to.
Absolutely. As race number 3 on the main track, non-2 for 30. And we saw another defection in here, number 3, Stimulus Check, who would have taken some play. But first we need to talk about, I think, the layoff runner in here, Anthony. And she looks as though, talking about speed, love that face. She looks to control here if she's ready off the bench for Mike Maselli.
I love the name.
Yeah, she has a big white face, too.
Where did that come from? Where did this come from? I don't know where this race
But
came from.
it was backed up by the subsequent races by the second and third finisher. Buston Bay came back to run a 72. Rainbow Gal came back to run a 71. The fourth place finisher won with a slower figure, but still.
I don't know. Like you said, the number has been confirmed. Obviously, you don't like the fact that she runs this race and disappears for 7 months. That's a negative. Positive.
They do protect her,
in for the
too.
waiver.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Look, I think it's smart. I know if I was an owner, I wouldn't want to put 7 months into a filly and then run her for the quarter. And keep in mind, she's a state bred, so she has her conditions.
Yeah.
And with the winter coming, if that number is
Legit.
indicative of what she can do, she's going to make a lot of money this winter at the Big A.
Yeah.
In state bred races.
Yeah.
Right? Because you figure now she's 4. She probably went through her last growth spurt, but if she's maturing and getting better as she gets older, she can have a real fun winter, and there could be a lot of men. And look, this is a barn that has done well. Mrs. Orb. The other filly's name is escaping me right now.
Oh, gosh.
Two state breds that have probably earned $1 million over the last 5 years together in the winter time at Aqueduct. So, yeah, I mean, look, I don't think either one of us. You put her on top. If she runs that last race, she's going to crush these horses.
Well, I was just more afraid of her speed, too, because the horse you put on top, for my husband Tom, Shane's Pretty Lady, she doesn't have any speed.
No, she doesn't.
I will say she had a bit of an excuse in her last start. She did get slammed pretty good,
Yep.
and she is a pretty lightly framed filly. She's been a bit of a project. She is not easy on herself. She wants to do too much. She does not carry that weight like you'd want to see. But I will say that since that last race, she has put a bit of weight on. She looks a bit better, and this obviously is the first time she's showing up for a tag, so you do have to respect the kind of class relief she gets.
Do you want me to come by and talk to her about keeping the weight on?
Yeah.
I have a lot of
well,
tips.
no, now you're shedding
Yeah,
it like crazy.
but listen.
Feed her your pumpkin pie.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The extra half furlong and the layoff is what I think is going to be the undoing of Love That Face ultimately. I think those are both big pluses for Tom's filly, for Shane's Pretty Lady. So to me, it was a little bit of a coin flip. I went with the horse. And now, look, she's coming off of July. She's coming off, she's been gone 3 months as well.
Trust me, she keeps herself fit.
Yeah, but okay. So there you go. So I just went with the horse that had a little bit more recency that I think the half furlong, that 6.5 is going to help more than hinder, and I think it might hinder Love That Face.
All right, as we'll move on to race number 4. Interesting pedigrees assembled here for this maiden special weight, going the 6 furlongs. And Anthony, before we get to the pedigrees, let's talk about the horses who have run, which includes number 1, Shared Future, as well as number 4, Circle Back Jen, where we'll take a look at that race back on September 18th. I actually like Circle Back Jen in the paddock. She broke well, she chased outside, and she just came up tired, which is kind of the theme of Rob Atras with his first-time starters, especially his 2-year-olds. They just seem to need a start to really put things together and gain that fitness. The biggest question mark is, I don't think this is a very good field.
the field this afternoon,
Yes.
that afternoon.
Yes,
Yes,
that afternoon.
I agree. Yeah. And if some of these horses run to their pedigree in here,
Yeah, exactly.
it's a huge step up in class. Yes,
Now-
I don't disagree with that.
Now, Shared Future, she could control from the inside. And look, Hot Fudge, she was 6-5 that day. She didn't get away that cleanly. And she was able to run them both down kind of almost against the flow of the race.
Right.
So let's talk about the biggest pedigree.
That's kind of. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Hey,
That kind
Negative.
of is a negative to these two fillies, right?
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
she just and she toyed with. She really the last 8 different miles she
was
toyed with them. Yeah,
like,
she
yeah.
just it was like watching a gallop racing game.
Right.
She just moved around and just ran away from them. It's part of the reason I don't want either one of the fillies that have run in here.
I know. I liked it. Circle Back Jen first time out, and I thought I'd give her
Okay.
another shot despite those negative things we brought up about that race.
Yeah.
But race number 3 in here, Ambassador Kelly. She's a daughter of Pioneer of the Nile out of Rachel's Valentina. She is a Grade 1 winning 2-year-old herself and obviously the daughter of Rachel Alexandra.
Yes, she was second to my favorite filly of all time, Songbird, in the 2015 juvenile fillies. Rachel Alexandra only had 2 foals, Jess's Dream, a colt, and this
Who was
filly,
a sire now in Florida.
Who was a sire now, yep, down in South Florida.
He won
And
first time out as a 3-year-old,
yeah,
going a mile
only
and an
time,
eighth.
Only time out,
Only
right?
start.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously a real a flashy pedigree here by Pioneer of the Nile out of Rachel Alexandra's only daughter. This horse has a license to run. I was told this horse can.
Are you a little
Can
bit
run.
concerned, because I am, about the 3 consecutive gate drills?
Yes.
I watched the first one that she had, and she threw her head up. She didn't get away. She didn't have her feet underneath of her. So Todd's really come back each week and made sure it's drilled into her. But still, you worry about that. Does that become a habit, or is she over it?
And I think the other issue with that is I didn't watch any of these works. I did not read the workout report. I know that's not a surprise to anybody out there who watches this program. She did not have that flashy of a tab from the pole.
No.
And
she barely
now,
breaks
and
49.
that's part of the reason I didn't put her on top. So she goes from a series of works from the pole to 3 consecutive gate works leading up to her debut, which leads me to believe, and again, I don't know this for fact, but I've been looking at a racing form for quite a while, and more often than not, I think this is true. She's probably a little lazy in the morning.
She kind of gave me the impression of watching that workout where she didn't break that well, but then throughout the work, she easily got to her workmate, who is an unraced entity, but that she wants to go longer than this.
And ultimately, I think that's where this is probably going to lead to. She might be talented enough. She may have caught a bunch of fillies that, there's some other pedigrees in here, but Todd's had his 2-year-olds for the most part ready to roll at this fall championship meet. So I wouldn't be surprised if she won, but you're going to take a really, really short price on her because the 2 fillies that have run, I don't think did that much running. And, I know Timmy Hills has the 2 glitter up, and he won with a first-time starter this week, and Shug won with a first-time starter this week, and he has the 7 radio days.
Well, let's talk about Radio Days. She is your top pick in here for the hot.
I don't think they're counting us down. I think that's the other show.
Oh, that's weird. That
Yeah.
freaked me out a little bit.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's
JK.
oh,
Okay. Anyway,
It's
sorry.
It's Halloween.
You guys
If
can't hear
anything
that.
weird happens, like
Yeah,
you're gonna be
I
a
was
little,
just like, what's
yeah,
going
I
on?
got you.
Radio
I'll
Days.
I'll protect you. We're
Okay,
good.
I feel very
We're okay.
safe
You
in
should.
here. Radio Days, Hot Sire, Gun Runner, Freshman Sire, 23% with
Can
his
you
first time
remember
starters.
anything like this?
No.
I can't. I mean, and
winning graded stakes too.
2 Grade 1 winners, 2 Grade 2 winners.
Yeah.
And it's not one horse won a grade 2 Grade 1s, one horse won 2 Grade 2s.
No, they're different
4
horses.
separate horses, 2 Grade 1 winners, 2 Grade 2 winners.
He'll have the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies.
You just 23%.
It's insane.
That's unheard. Established
and he
sires.
wasn't that good of a 2-year-old. He got much
No,
better
he
in
got
his
better the second half of
4-year-old
his
year.
3-year-old year into his 4-year-old year. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, and Shug had I can't remember the horse's name, but this horse's work tab is even a little more aggressive than the first that it won this week.
I hear you. I was just worried. I mean, and maybe it's a positive counterintuitive move that on the bottom side, it is nothing but turf.
It's all turf. Yeah.
All turf. I will say, watching her latest workout, in which she worked with a filly that has run by the name Aunt Naughty, she didn't break quite as well out of the gate than she, but easily found stride. And Aunt Naughty had Jose Lascano aboard, where we saw Radio Days have Lena L'Oreal.
Okay.
Shug's main exercise rider, aboard too. So, it looked like a good looking work. They paid a lot for this filly as a yearling. She can run well here. I don't know. I just couldn't get over the fact that it's just an all-turf pedigree.
That's fine. And the other thing is, and this is maybe overthinking a little bit. You're not going to believe this, but I've been known and been accused of being an overthinker. At the very least, I know this filly is trained on wet tracks because Shug sends him out there. She actually has a breeze on a good track. Don't let the bullet confuse you because only 7 horses worked at the distance that day.
And it might play in her favor because this mimics a turf course. I'm a little remiss. I didn't include her. She was my fifth pick,
I didn't want to pick Todd's first or on top, although I think she's going to run really well, and maybe she runs out of real estate ultimately. But I thought Radio Days was interesting today.
You mentioned Glitter Up, Connect, also a little bit more with his distance runners so far, freshman sire. This one is a half to Griff, who's a stakes-winning dirt sprinter, also half, though, to Sand Dancer, stakes-winning on the turf. It's just a really good pedigree, and it kind of goes either way and depends a lot on the sire, and Connect obviously can get one to run well in the dirt. So really interesting. 4th race.
I was supposed to be in the movie Radio Days, the Woody Allen movie.
Okay.
I was supposed to be in that movie when I was in 4th grade. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe I wouldn't be here with you right now.
Yeah,
Maybe I'd be in Hollywood.
Definitely be in Hollywood.
Shining bright like a diamond. I don't know.
Okay, Rihanna.
Yes, I've been accused of being Rihanna. I almost went as Rihanna for Halloween this year.
I can't even imagine that. Race number 5, off the turf, and limited options available.
It's a very nice way to say that. That was a good job, Maggie.
Whoa.
I'm going to write that down.
You're going against
limited
No Burn.
options.
You're going against No Burn. The horse that ran an 81 last time against Happy Medium, who looks like a horse bound for stakes winning performances for Michelle Nevin.
The risk of alienating my good friend Lee Einsiedler. Yes,
Lee, I'm your BFF.
The source is good. Wow, 2 to 5 on the morning line. Yeah, I took a little. I got a little goofy in here.
I know they've offered him up for the 20. He had heat stroke that day. That's why the claim was voided. Then he comes back, and I thought it was a positive. They offered him up or put him in a maiden special weight, I should say, and he ran respectably well. So he's chasing 4 to 5 wide throughout with Happy Medium, pretty much just dominating on the front end.
The only thing, I just don't like the fact. Number one, it's going to be, there's obviously going to be moisture in this track all day.
Yeah.
He has never faced moisture. They debuted him on the turf. He never had moisture in the track. He is going to be a short price. And the fact that he's went from the bottom claiming price to the maiden special, now in for the 40, they know they're losing this horse today. I'd be very surprised if this horse didn't get claimed today because, like you said, that void, what that void was from. He had a heat stroke. They're going to lose this horse today. And I guess they're okay with losing this horse today. They didn't pay a lot of money for this horse. That's fine. Fact of the matter is, this horse ran an 81 speed figure last time, and they're willing to lose this horse for the 40 today. I'm going to take one shot against them with the 1, but clearly, if you're playing any kind of multi-race wagers today, you're using No Burn. I'll use Hellman, the number 1, and
Mayo.
No, this horse is named after a cancer doctor upstate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Obviously, I'm the one that thinks only about food on this show.
Yeah, I had a little battle with mayonnaise about 3 weeks ago. Me and mayonnaise aren't talking right now.
Okay.
But this horse is by Empire Maker out of a Tappet mare.
The dam won the Grade 3 Comely as well.
So she's, there's dirt on the bottom side. Look, there's another one. This horse was in for 40 first time, in for 40 now. It is what it is.
After paying $475,000 for him.
I just took,
That's
like
the game
I said,
goes. And Rogers Ginger, Mike Maker is not a guy afraid of keeping horses in if they're off the turf. And honestly, this one's pedigree says he wants the dirt more.
Yeah.
Will take charge. And 2, don't you think he's going to be the speed in here?
He's going to be the speed. His pedigree tells you, A, he's going to like the dirt, and B, he's not going to mind stretching out to the mile on the 16th, especially if he can control. That's what I mean. I get you see those figures for No Burn, but when the mile on the 16th, the wet track, I'm not as sold as some other people are today.
I could see that maybe there's some hitting between the 5 and 12 in here, and Hellman just sits right behind him and picks it up.
That's what I'm hoping.
All right. Well, that will do it for the. Nope, just kidding. We have. Yes, no, that'll do it for the first 5.
First 5. Stakes action.
Yeah.
A lot
coming
of it.
up next.
pumpkin
2
pie.
servings of the pumpkin pie as well as the bold ruler. Stay tuned. You're watching Talking Horses.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfendale, Anthony Stabile. As we get to the stakes portion of our card, yes, you have something urgent to tell me.
Love and Love.
Yes, I knew it was something love, and I just couldn't
Georgia
think of it.
Jerry, her owner, just texted. Just
Yeah, I don't know
messaged me.
why. I
Thank
just
you, George.
completely blanked on that. I could picture
Owned
clear
over
as day.
She's earned over 300,000. So.
Yeah.
Like I said, the 2 fillies combined close to $1 million.
They are solid
Yep.
fillies, or New York bred mares, I should say. As the first version of this pumpkin pie stakes, going the 7 furlongs for the fillies and mares. We saw some defections from the second half, and this one stays together quite nicely. We'll first start by talking about Aunt Cat in here, who 8 to 5 on the morning line. You know, let's watch the start of her first race where she just isn't quite as fast. So Junior Alvarado has to hustle her up. She sets the pace. The horses she battled with finish way behind her, where we see Lake Avenue Byroness just sitting that cozy trip, and she just scoots up the rail to run by her.
So I was a little surprised they did not mention that in the short comment, that she was, and I think it's more noteworthy, or it's more noticeable, probably is a better way to put it, for a filly like her, because is all we saw her do in the winter and
out.
spring is just pop the gate.
Yeah.
Right? Her biggest edge was she had a half a step beat on the rest of the field, and now she breaks like. And listen, she ran great in here.
She did.
She battled on. You know, she didn't have her customary break. She didn't have her automatic half length to a length lead on the rest of her rivals. She ran well. But she had 2 months off leading into that race. And then she had, and I know there weren't too many spots to run against her. You don't want, I get not wanting to run.
I think a lot of these
against
horses
Bella
are coming
Sophia.
off the
Yeah, a lot of them are.
early
And I know-
August layoff because
Right.
they're just
We'll talk about Lake Avenue later on.
Yeah.
She's in the other half of this. You didn't want to run against Lake Avenue. You didn't want to run against Bella Sophia. You didn't want to run against Lady Rocket in the Gallant Bloom. You wait for this spot. I get it to a degree. But I still don't like the fact that we see the 2 month break and now the 3 month break.
Isn't it funny how a lot of them waited for this spot, thinking it'd be easier, and they've come up
They all,
loaded.
meet, they all meet up. They ducked each other, and now they all meet up in the same spot for less money and no grade.
Correct. Victim of Love. She is a 2-time graded stakes winner. She's taken down both the 20 and 21 editions of the Vagrancy Handicap. This is her win 2 back in the Vagrancy. Now, last time we saw her in the Grade 3 Bed of Roses, and don't you remember that day? It was the Friday before Belmont. It absolutely poured. We were, because of thunder and lightning, we were stuck in the paddock for 20 minutes. And I don't know if she just reacted negatively to the wet track, or she is a horse that does have a lot of stops and starts over the last 2 years. It's a little bit of a reason to be cautious because she has run well on wet tracks before, but that was a really wet track. They're all different at the end of the day.
She won her first Vagrancy on a track with moisture in it.
Yeah, but that was good.
Right. So what I think happened last time was, I think last time when the rain came down the way it did,
It washed away a lot of the track.
it washed away a lot of track, number one. And number two, she was kind of keen. So maybe being stuck in the paddock for a half hour, maybe that racetrack, all of it led to, get me out of this starting gate.
Yeah.
That's the way it
I
looked
can
to me.
totally give her that excuse. I'm willing to give her that excuse. Obviously, we both are here. We both
And
go
now, with Aunt Cat in the race, we're not going to assume that Aunt Cat's going to break slow. Slowly is not even the right. That's an indictment on her break. She's not going to break. You'd imagine she's going to break more alertly and more customarily to what we're seeing. if she does, Victim of Love is going to get her trip. She won those vagrancies sitting just off the pace, right? I think she sat off Sadie Lady this year. I can't remember who she sat off of last year. But she'll just sit off of Aunt Cat and make more. Now, there's not a ton of speed in this race. So, knowing what happened last time, it would not surprise me if Joel Rosario broke alertly with Victim of Love today. And if Aunt Cat does not break alertly and does not go on with it, maybe he finds himself on the lead with this mare again. But
Don't you
either
think
way,
Starfront provides a little bit of
she
haste
could too. She could as well. Yeah, she could as well. But I think however it shakes, I think Victim of Love is the one that works out the right trip, even though she's drawn on the inside.
Let's check out Union Maiden's last score up at Saratoga. I was really impressed with this effort, Anthony. She battled 3 to 4 wide the entire way. We'll see her on the outside with those yellow silks. If you can, it's just a bad angle there at Saratoga when they come around the turn. Put all of these horses away quite fairly easily, drawing away at the end. So maybe it was a step in the right direction. She does get the class test here, but I think this first start as a 4-year-old might be indicating what's to come.
I put a 4th. I think you have a 3rd, correct? So my biggest issue with this race was there were a couple of fillies that did not fire their best shots in this race. And a couple of fillies have come out of this race and not run particularly well. Whispering Pines disappointed here greatly at a short price recently. But this was a breakthrough performance for this filly, and I know Chad Brown in the barn has been waiting for this filly to kind of come around.
But wasn't that Sharp Star finishing last there?
It was. She's really the only one, right? And obviously she didn't show up that day either. So
That was going short.
it was. No, listen.
Shorter.
Like I said, a couple of fillies didn't show up that day. A couple of fillies didn't come back. She came back and ran very well yesterday. And more importantly, if we focus on her performance, that was a breakthrough kind of performance, a performance they've been waiting for a year and a half out of that filly.
Yeah.
Needs to follow it up now off another little bit of a break, right? We didn't see her for 9 months, and now we didn't see her for another 2. Now, her I can understand. It looks like she, it's hard to keep her on the racetrack. You want to give her some time between starts. I get skipping some of the races that she's missed in between and pointing for a race like this. Some of the others I don't get pointing for a race like this, but this I skipping the Gallon Bloom. This I get.
Oh, for your first try in
this I
Stakes
get.
Company. Totally. What about Starfront? Do you get that? I mean, isn't it a positive sign that Chad Brown's ambitious with her? Second start off, that long layoff of nearly a year.
Yep.
But weren't you a little disappointed in her effort?
I think you can look at it 2 ways. I don't know where that effort came from the winner from Glass Ceiling.
We'll see her in the next.
We'll see her, yeah. I don't know where that effort came from, number one. And speaking of having a hard time keeping the filly on the racetrack, 2 starts and 2 starts on Halloween of her 4-year-old year. So
my
obviously
problem is
some talent.
everything behind her. I mean, you were talking about the class of Union Maidens. I think everything behind that field was not very good.
Not much. Not much. And it took Glass Ceiling to come up with a far and away career best effort.
I mean, before you broke her maiden for 20 up at
20,000.
Saratoga.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I suppose it's a positive sign. Looks as though she's been working well since that effort. Those 2 halves in 48. It's pretty fast for a Chad Brown horse.
Chad's 2 fillies are interesting in here, but they're also a little confusing.
Yeah. I feel much more comfortable, though, taking Union Maiden, given what she did in her last start. As we'll move on to the graded feature of this afternoon. Race number 7 is the Grade 3 Bold Ruler Handicap. All 3 stakes today at 7 furlongs. And, Anthony, the big kind of matchup here is we see Wonder Where Craig is stretching out a furlong, as we see Plainsman, who won the ACAC Grade 3 last time, turning back a furlong.
Yes, the 2019 Horse of the Year, as proclaimed on Talking Horses by myself.
Wait, what?
Plainsman. Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Horse
Oh,
of the Year
yeah,
in
I know.
2019.
He's such an odd horse. He looks so promising starting out his career, and then he took a nosedive. But kudos to Brad Cox and his career and his crew for resurrecting this horse's career.
I'm not going to go as far as say Knicks Go the second, but this is a horse who looked like he was destined to be a backyard stallion somewhere, and now all of a sudden he's won 4 of his last 5 starts, a couple of stakes in between. Graded Akak last time, going to cut back to try to win our Bold Ruler today. He's a cool horse. He's a fun horse. He won the Discovery going 9 furlongs as a 3-year-old. So this is a horse where distance doesn't really bother him. This is something Andy and I talk about all the time. This is a horse where I'd have confidence in him from 7 to 10 furlongs. So,
I mean, I do get a little bit nervous that the 7 might be too short for him,
Maybe.
but I have question marks with the other talented horse in here. That's Wonder Where Craig is. Does he really want to go the 7 furlongs? Because, Anthony, we haven't seen him try anything beyond 6. And while he is the speed here, boy, does he have a propensity to drift out. We've seen him DQ'd twice now for these antics in the stretch. Was it that big of a deal in this DeFrancis Dash? Maybe not. I know the stewards down in Maryland, they're a bit more stringent than other jurisdictions, but Jalen's Journey is getting to him at the line.
Yeah. And, getting out, it may be a sign that he just doesn't want more distance.
That's what
the
horses
problem.
do when they pull up. They go to the outside.
And I put him second in here because he has enough. There are enough races on his card that win this race, but I do not trust him wanting the 7/8 for 1 second. Not for a second do I trust him wanting the 7/8.
I'm with you. I threw in a long shot. He has yet to run that fast. Many of these in here with number 4 drafted. He had serious trouble. And Newbaum, who wired the field that day, I know our good friend John Atfield thinks the world of this horse, that he's really turned a
Yes, he
corner, that
does.
he's turned into something special this latter half of his 3-year-old campaign. But drafted the 7-year-old, he was really hemmed in, turning for home. He kind of had to take back and then come even wider. And he was the only one really running at the end. I thought getting out to the 7, which I like for him in the toboggan, would help him, but then we saw him off on a layoff from January to May. So I just wanted to throw him in there. I was just trying to create some value in this field.
Yeah, I thought Wendell Fong would be a little bit of a better price. I thought Wendell Fong was a little interesting simply because of the weather and the racetrack. He moves
But
up.
his last sloppy track race, he was eased.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, though, but he came back on the good track and he was fine. He won the Gold Fever here in
Well,
the
what do you
slot.
think it's going to be by
I
the
don't
time?
know. That's a good question.
It's just because we've
Now,
had so much rain.
Right. I mean, we're talking about close to 6 inches of rain this week. The flag is unfurled at this point, so
Yeah.
there's some wind out there, but the sun's kind of popping in and out behind clouds. I don't know how much of this moisture. Number one, how much moisture is in that racetrack?
That's why I
and-
did an Andy and just chose to ignore the racetrack condition. I mean, you have to use
Do we
it.
call
but
that? Do we call that an Andy now? Is that
I
what we
think
do?
so.
Okay.
I mean, because he does like to
It's like it would
give
be like
you.
that would be like an Ocean's 11 term, right?
Yeah.
I'm pulling an Andy. What does that mean? We just ignore the racetrack.
He does read you the
Or
riot
distance.
act every time.
Racetrack
you
with this, that could go both ways.
True. But so both of us landing on Plainsman here is the second edition or division of the Pumpkin Pie Goes as race number 8. And we do see,
Talking
some
about a
people
tale
say,
of 2 divisions, huh?
I know, because this has Lake Avenue and Always Karina, who are well bred, highly
like-
regarded.
you feel like
but what
Always
have they really done?
Well, hey, yeah, that's not. I don't think that's too far. I don't think that's false. But I'll ask you this:
Yeah.
would it have surprised you if 2 of the 3 of Always Karina, Lady Rocket, or Lake Avenue were in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint next week?
No, I get
Right. This is a
it's
this
Lake
is a good,
Avenue,
This is a good
but
race.
she was bad last time, in my opinion. Though it was a bit of a merry-go-round race. Going back to the ballerina second place effort. Look, CC came back. She won a grade 3 at Santa Anita. She's in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. You even have Sconson in there, who came back and beat Bell's the One in their their subsequent meeting. She
story
did
of her life.
ride the racetrack that day. It seemed as though on Travers Day, you wanted to be inside, you wanted to be fairly forward, and it just felt as though she had that to her advantage.
The story of her career has been which Lake Avenue is going to show up. Mm-hmm. The one.
Look, I
last
put her
time.
on top just because I just
The one
I
last
threw up
time.
my hands and said she's probably classier than both of these.
The one last time who did not run a step.
Yeah.
Third by default, right? I think we'd agree by that. She didn't run a step last time.
No.
Or the one that, gave Gamine all she could handle in the ballerina 2 starts back.
I know.
Or the big effort in the honorable miss where she didn't get the greatest of she didn't get the greatest of trips when she was widest of all. Which one's going to show up? Or the one that runs these 79 biofigures and just completely clunks up and doesn't do 2 steps of
I mean, I'm
running.
kind of mad at myself. I put her on top, but at least, and like you said, she can be inconsistent at best. But at least she has those fast races.
Yeah.
Now, Lady Rocket, who we both have second, she is a speed in here. There's also some other fast horses like the Long Shot, Easy to Bless. We see her stumbling quite significantly, which just put her behind the 8 ball, let Bella Sofia, who obviously is a better horse, just control on the front end. And like I said, it was a total merry-go-round race. Nobody changed positions here.
Right. This is going to sound a little foolish, but let's face it, I don't mind sounding foolish. Was she ever going to get in front of Bella Sofia?
At the start?
Right.
I know. It's
Did the stumble-
50-50.
Right. It's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, she stumbled and maybe it affected her performance, but that result's in all likelihood not going to change.
No.
It didn't cost her a position.
No.
It didn't. It in all likelihood didn't cost her position. Period. I don't even know what like. It's like incidental trouble. I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know either, and I don't know what happens here.
Best race of her life, too, by the way.
It is by
Fastest
a
race of her
mile.
life by 5 lengths.
So is she going to go back to those 87 she was running out of town? I mean, if she does, and the good Lake Avenue or the good Always Karina shows up, she's running for third.
Yeah. But if she runs that last race, and
She can win. But I just think
and
she
the
gets
median
softened
version
up.
of Lake Avenue shows up, and I'll tell you what, I picked Always Karina in here.
Why?
Okay?
Because I
You
don't
guys
know
can put the 2
what.
fourth, by the way. I'm sorry about the scratch.
I don't know
put 2
what
fourth.
to do with Always Karina because her
I
first 2
didn't either.
races, obviously, very good. Obviously, as you like to point out, she handles the track with moisture in it because that's her fastest race to date. But she's been disappointing, and I suppose you could go back and make excuses for, the Mother Goose. They didn't let her fully use her speed and clear away from Zagil, who obviously ran her down in the latter stages, and then she runs in the test against Bella Sofia. She doesn't get to control, but does she get to control here? No, she's not that fast.
She is going to have to rate today.
Yeah.
Because if Lady Rocket breaks, Lady Rocket will be in front of her. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. To me, her best races were early on, were the 1-turn races. I'm not going to worry about the Mother Goose. I thought Flavien Prat gave her an awful ride in the Mother Goose.
I mean, you're not the only one.
Okay, I thought it was an awful ride. Come back in the test, and that test was contested in about 12 seconds. Bella Sofia was with the pack, and then Bella Sofia was gone, and that was and it was over.
Yeah.
And then last time around the 2 turns, again, kind of like battling on the front end. That's a weird place to begin with, Parks. She probably doesn't want to go that far. I think she's doing what she wants to do today. 7/8 gets a little moisture in the track. She'll have Lady Rocket in front of her. She's going to have to win from off the pace, which is something she hasn't done yet. She's never been off the pace, really. The one time she was off the pace was in the test. But I think she has a little blue sky. I don't know where Lady Rocket's race came from last time. I don't know which version of Lake Avenue is going to show up. I think she'll be the best price of the 3, so I landed with her.
Really? You might be right. I don't know.
I think Lake Avenue will be the favorite.
I think Lake Avenue will be the favorite too.
I think they'll bet the
but
race
David's
8-7.
very good.
He's the best, but
Yeah.
I still think Lake Avenue. Will be
Yeah,
favorite.
I was a little dubious of the 2-1 on Lady Rocket. I wasn't quite sure about that as race.
Well, here's Lake Avenue.
What, Francisco? We got to kind of move
Well,
on.
he heard Lake Avenue, but we didn't kill
mean-
her. That was her trying to run down Gamine, who's going to finish second in the Philly and Mare Sprint next week.
to Bella Sofia.
To Bella Sofia.
Any CC love?
I guess she's the. I mean, I'll tell you what.
Home court advantage? I don't know.
Well, we can talk about this later on as well, but man,
Yeah.
there was some those dirt races in the Breeders' Cup this year.
Well, that one really fell apart.
I think it's going to be chalk fest. I think it's just
Yeah.
going to be chalk central.
Race number 9, maiden 44, the New York Breds for the 2-year-olds at 6 furlongs. And we do have a nice mix of horses who have experience versus those who do not. Ultimately, we both went with horses with experience coming out of the same race.
Yep. They
You
ran
went with El 24?
Yep. The 24.
Yep.
I don't know if that's is that a, that must be a thing. We got to look that up. El 24.
The 24.
The 24.
We'll have to ask Rudy.
Yeah, second time off the layoff here. Ran for the 50 last time. A slight drop to the 40. Yeah, I wanted the horses that had a little experience in here. I thought Flatbush, the other Rudy horse, the number 2, a pair of blinkers, going to cut back from 1 mile and a 16th on the grass to 3/4 on the dirt. I thought he was a little interesting.
Yeah,
too.
debuted in an open maiden 50. Is a flat out. I mean, when do you see flat outs successful on the turf? But also a half to Lord Flintshire, who's a pretty decent turf horse. I don't know. I used him particularly. I threw him in 4th. As far as the first-time starters go, look, Mr. T and Rosie's Boy is probably going to take the most money. But I looked up a stat for Steve Asmussen here at NYRA, debuting 2-year-olds and maiden claimers. He's 1 for 9, and when you take away the 2-year-olds, he's 1 for 18 with debuters and maiden claimers.
No bueno.
No wains. Interesting pedigree on number 6, Appalachian. I just sounded like I was from Kentucky. Appalachian, whichever. Legend. Union Jackson has not gotten off to an auspicious start as a sire, but this is a serious Phipps pedigree going back. I know you don't look up pedigrees, but
this one slipped me, man.
I know. Why would you? 21 morning line. Second Dam's Country Hideaway, multiple greatest stakes winner, and the dam, a full sister to Boca Grande, who won the Demoiselle and Comely.
I remember when I was a kid, there was no chance at that female blood ever getting out of that line, ever. And then when Super Saver won the Derby, and I was like, that can't be the same Supercharger. It was the same Supercharger.
Yeah.
That was, and since then, so we're talking Super Saver won the Derby in 2010, so 2 years before that. I mean, you're talking about close to 15 years where they actually started letting the female line out of that dynasty.
Yeah.
It's something, it's things you never
gonna
thought
cry?
you would see. No, I'm not. I said this one when Alan Jerkins died. I was like, Alan Jerkins was never supposed to die. This
Yeah,
is
it
not
felt
Alan
like
Jerkins not supposed to die, but like seeing that blood leave the line was just like
I know.
part of my childhood died.
Yeah.
When I saw the Supercharger was out of
I know.
the string.
Change is not comfortable, but it always happens.
Yes, it does.
Well, that will do it for this edition of Talking Horses. Thanks for sticking with us. As always, if you want to play today's races, make sure you do so. That's your cue, Francisco, with your NYRA Bets account. $25 free play with the Breeders' Cup. Use promo code CUP25. Check out NYRABets.com to also earn that $200 deposit match bonus. We also have that great promotion going on, 50-50-50 between Belmont, Woodbine, and Gulfstream. Earn a $50 bonus, win or lose, when you play those 3 races. Make sure racetracks. Boom. He said it. As always, you get a second dose, just like the pumpkin pie. Well, the second division of Maggie and Anthony coming up on FS2 later on. But we start the day on FS1. We'll have Acacia Courtney, Richard Migliori, myself, Anthony, and Liza Hendricks on the show today. Best of luck, everyone. Make sure if you're like Anthony, you better bet and wager accordingly to that wet track out there. Off the turf, thanks for joining us here on Talking Horses.
Enjoy your pumpkin pie, everyone.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to beautiful Belmont Park. Mostly sunny skies here at Belmont. Temperature will be in the low 60s. As we start the day, the main track is sloppy and sealed, and we are off the turf. In today's first race, scratch number 1, I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost. Scratch the 1. Ownership for number 5 should read 10 Strike Racing and Corey Mullis Racing. Race 2 is off the turf. Scratch 1, Sky Kitten. 4, Lady Fatima. Scratch 7, Kitten's Romance. 8, Sassy Melissa, and the 10, Kissing Frogs. Scratch 1, 4, 7, 8, and 10. And number 6, Magnetique, will now be ridden by Eric Consell. Consell is on the 6. Third race, scratch number 3, Stimulus Check. Scratch the 3. Number 2 is 1 pound over. Race 4, no changes. Race 5, Off the Turf. Scratch 2, Seizing the Dream. 3, Ocean Deep. Scratch 4, Warlight. 6, Can You Hear Me Now? Also scratch 8, Romantic Man. 9, High Def, and 10, Bailout. Race 5, Off the Turf. Scratch 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10. And we have a couple of jockey changes. Number 7, Battle Map, will now be ridden by Jalon Samuel. Samuel is on the 7. Number 14, Cash Kid, the rider, Jose Lescano. Lescano is on the 14. Sixth race, the first division of the Pumpkin Pie Stakes, no changes. Race 7, the Bold Ruler Handicap. Scratch number 2, Bal Harbor. Scratch the 2. Number 1 is 2 pounds over, and number 6 is now 1 pound over. Eighth race, second division of the Pumpkin Pie. Scratch 3, Pia Di Bianchi, and 6, Don't Call Me Mary. Scratch 3 and 6 out of the 8th. And in the 9th, scratch number 8, Kong Loves a Fight. Scratch number 8, and number